Energy weapons have been a hot topic in the Fallout modding scene as of late, as we've been getting a whole lot more of them and they've all been really high quality. To be honest, this is a bit of a renaissance for the Fallout 4 modding scene, as we're seeing a lot of really good energy weapons, which is something we don't typically see. You've probably heard me say recently that energy weapons that are of high quality are pretty hard to come by, but lately it feels like it's been quite often, and so that's, quite frankly, a really good thing. Now today, we're checking out what might be one of the best energy weapon mods of all time, possibly one of the best weapon mods of all time. Today we're checking out the Wattz 3000 Mark II laser gun by Deadpool 2099. Now, you may remember the old school Wattz laser gun mod from Deadpool. Now we have a complete facelift to that mod that has been completely redesigned with the Wattz 3000 Mark II. Now this is not a laser pistol or laser rifle because it is both. You can choose that over at the weapons workbench depending on which attachments you decide to use. This mod is going to be extremely feature complete with custom models and textures, custom animations, tons of different attachments over at the weapons workbench that will totally change the way the weapon looks and functions, and of course a handful of uniques and wonderful integration into the game. It truly is a perfect mod, and the quality of everything is top notch. Some of the best modders collaborating to make one of the best weapons available on the Nexus right now. This mod is going to bring a completely new design to the Wattz that looks absolutely amazing while still being inspired from the original Wattz 2000 from Fallout 1 and 2. But of course, it's going to feature a bunch of new stuff that makes it really cool, including a completely redesigned idea for custom animations, as well as a nice built-in ammo counter that just looks really nice and is a nice little detail that will add to this weapon greatly. Now, this gun is intended to be pretty rare and can even be used alongside the original Wattz gun as it is technically a different model. This thing is going to be found around the wasteland, but very uncommon. You'll be able to start finding this thing after level 30 by purchasing it from the occasional vendor, or maybe even seeing the Brotherhood of Steel members carrying them very rarely. There are also 5 unique variants that you can find around the world, and even 1/6 unique variant if you happen to have certain Creation Club content. That will add even more content to this game just as a nice little bonus. As mentioned previously, this weapon does have custom animations, and those are definitely one of the stars of this mod. They are completely new. They are very much similar to the old Wattz laser gun animations, but they have been completely redesigned for a nice, sleeker profile. The old Wattz laser gun was very big and bulky, whereas this one is a lot more sleek and small, and looks like it has more proportions of a regular, real-life gun. I think that definitely helps since this thing does have the ability to turn into a pistol. With rifle length, the big, bulky design doesn't really matter, but when it's a pistol, it's kind of cumbersome. But the new redesign makes this thing a lot more viable as a pistol, and it definitely looks like something that would work a lot better, and just a lot more manageable in a pistol format. This weapon also features a ton of different skins available thanks to all of the uniques that are added, as well as a handful of different projectile types that are also going to be exclusive to the uniques, which are pretty cool, and make them worth seeking out as a bit of a fun treasure hunt. Now, none of the locations are listed on the mod page, so that's a bit of a fun one. We did have to go track some of these down, so I do know a couple of the locations, but I don't know all of them. We'll get back into that a little bit more when we cover each of the uniques. Speaking of which, we should probably hop in game and start talking about this weapon's finer details like its stats, uniques, animations, etc. For starters, here we have the Wattz 3000 pistol. This is one of its more basic configurations, and of course this thing can be converted to a rifle with different attachments over at the weapons workbench. Now, this thing has a base damage of about 35. I believe I have maxed out pistol perks, so that's why this is going to be a bit higher. It uses microfusion cells, or fusion cells if you have the vanilla setup. A fire rate of 40 in semi-auto, a range of 107, an accuracy of 75, a value of 150 caps, and a weight of 4.2 pounds with 4 different attachment slots, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I promise you there is a lot going on for this weapon when it comes to the attachments. Now, this is the pistol format, which has its own set of animations, and of course there is a rifle version which has its own set of animations as well. So let's go ahead and show those off now. So for starters, we'll check out the pistol here, which not only has custom animations, but also custom sounds built into those animations, which is pretty dang nice. This thing's got a funky set of iron sights for the pistol, which is pretty cool. And the animations are, of course, very nice. With a completely modeled interior and all of that is animated as well, this thing is very cool. And the profile of this thing is also very nice to look at. And it's not too bulky. I think this thing fits really well in your hands. Now, when it comes to the rifle, we've got a bit of a different look. It looks a little bit bigger because it is kind of pushed closer to you, but still not too big. This also has its own custom set of animations as well. Altogether, a nice little matching set. Very similar, but of course altered so that you can have both pistol and rifle variants, which is also very, very nice. Now then, let's start talking about some of the uniques available in this mod, starting off with one that you've already seen a little bit of, which is the Wattz 3000 Mark II prototype, which comes in this configuration here. A very, very cool scope, a very nice yellow paint job that I think fits this weapon very well with some of the caution stripes there. A nice callback to the old school Wattz laser rifles. This thing has a 25% less action point cost. Overall, a very nice little Wattz gun. A pretty simple one, but one that is definitely one worth adding to your collection. Sadly, this is one that I do not know the location of, as again, none of those details are present on the mod page, and I was not able to hunt all of them down, but I do know a couple of them. For example, the Overseer's Best Friend, which is going to be a Vault-Tec themed option with blue and gold. This has a 33% chance to hit in VATS and 25% less action point cost. Overall, just kind of an upgrade to the last one. And if you want to get your hands on this one, you can actually find it in the Overseer's office in Vault 75. I actually really like the design on this one. I think the blue and black grip here on the back looks really cool. And overall, the overall design is pretty dang sick. Then we have one of my favorite uniques known as Frostbite with a cool white and blue paint job. This thing is going to have a cryo effect and a blue laser. It does 10 points of cryo damage and will freeze targets on critical hits. And if you want to get your hands on this one, of course, you can find it over at Vault 111. There's actually a bit of an Easter egg you have to do over there. And if you find all of the pieces to it, you will end up getting this thing from a master locked container. Definitely worth it, but something you're going to have to come back to since you won't be able to do that immediately at the beginning of the game. Then we have the AF U24. Damage increases by 15% after each consecutive hit. This has a nice green military paint job, but sadly this is another one I do not know the location of. But it is a pretty standard looking one. Just a nice one if you like the effect, but overall nothing too crazy compared to some of the other ones available in this pack. Then we have the Scorch Boy Advanced. Does double damage if the target is full health, and has a nice translucent effect on the front here that lets you see all of the fancy animated internals, which I think is an awesome idea. Sort of like the old Game Boys, hence the name Scorch Boy Advanced. A very, very cool, unique, one of the more visually interesting ones available in this pack. Yet another one, though, that I do not know the location of. And then finally, we have the bonus unique, which is not typically obtainable unless you have some Creation Club content installed. Specifically, the Enclave content, since this is an Enclave unique known as the Little Devil. This does 10 points of ballistic damage and can turn enemies into glue since it is a plasma unique with a nice green beam. So again, you are going to need to have that Enclave content installed to be able to find this thing. Otherwise, you can technically access it by spawning it in via the console, but if you want to be able to find it in the world, you are going to have that Creation Club content installed. But of course, that is not all when it comes to the amount of content available in this mod. We also have all of the attachments here at the weapons workbench that will not only change the way the weapon functions, but also how it looks. Starting off with the capacitor section, we have standard all the way up through overcharged. Pretty standard stuff for the weapon, but we also have some visual changes. As you can see, some of these actually remove the top cover, which is a pretty interesting choice to make this thing kind of look bare bones. We also have the barrel section where we have short barrel, a tri-beam barrel for sort of a shotgun effect, a combat barrel, and a focused barrel, which is going to be a sort of sniper barrel. And then we have improved versions of each of these with the improved short barrel, the long tri-beam barrel, which is one of my favorite barrel options. It visually is super cool. The long combat barrel, the overcharged combat barrel, which looks pretty crazy, and the long focus barrel, sort of a callback to the old school Wattz laser rifle barrel. Then for grips, we have the standard grip, a comfort grip, which is a nice wood look, the bruiser grip, which will add a nice bit to the front there for melee damage, the sharpshooter's grip, a full stock, a full wooden stock, which looks very nice, and a recharging stock with a built-in fusion core, which will add a nice bit of an effect that adds a replenishing cell for every few shots. So you will actually get more ammo with this stock equipped. And then we have the sight category. We have the standard iron sights, some glow sights, some red glow sights, a short scope, a short targeting recon scope, a reflex sight red, a medium scope, medium targeting recon scope, a long scope, long targeting recon scope, a short night vision, medium night vision, long night vision, and a medium recon, a short recon, and a long recon. Most of these are going to have similar models with slight changes to them, but for the most part they are relatively the same profile, but still having their own nice effects so you can pick exactly what you want for your gun. And with all that customization, we have a very nice looking Wattz rifle after having a dinky little Wattz pistol in the beginning of this. Altogether, a truly amazing mod. Feature complete with everything you could possibly ask for, custom animations, wonderful attachments, a bunch of uniques to find, and overall just a high quality look that is very, very nice and lore friendly. If you want to try this mod out for yourself, it will be linked down in the description as always. While you're down there, if you enjoyed the video, consider dropping it a like. It really helps out the channel. And if you'd like to support my work directly, whether it's the videos I make here on YouTube or the mods I make on Nexus, you can support me directly on Patreon. It is, of course, completely optional, but it's there if you're into that kind of thing. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!